What's up, everybody? I'm Walter Benaziak.
I'm Ayana Wade.
I'm Heather Roos.
Welcome back to the Awesome Walter YouTube channel. If you saw the video that got posted on Channel Awesome this past week, was the top 5 best James Bond movies. That's why we're all dressed up.
Yeah.
So obviously there's 24 official James Bond movies right now out in the ether out there for everyone to see and absorb. With another one with Daniel Craig coming out next year. It's supposed to be his last one, but Spectre was also supposed to be his last one. So
Right, so.
who knows what's going to happen with that. So I really wanted to do this one with all of us writing it. So like all three of us wrote this past episode. And you know, everyone has their favorite Bond, whether it be an actor or, you know, the movie or the story or a Bond girl or other villain character or whatever. So I wanted to definitely bring those varying points of view to this episode of Top 5. Ayana went back and watched every single one.
I watched every single one, you guys.
All
Every
of
single
them.
All
one.
of them.
All 24.
Uh-huh. In like 2 weeks.
Yeah, very fast. I didn't get to watch every single one because I was doing Keanu Reeves at the same time, so I unfortunately didn't get to watch all of them. Heather, you watched most of them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
most
good
of them.
portion.
I skipped some ones
Right,
that
sure.
are just in the middle, just
yeah.
average.
And then we know that are average,
Yeah.
right? So, we had the top 5 on Channel Awesome. We're going to talk about numbers 6 through 9. So we had 4 honorable mentions. We're going to get into that right now with number 9. The World Is Not Enough is the second Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie. I love Pierce Brosnan in GoldenEye. I actually love him in a lot of different stuff. I grew up with him, you know, I grew up watching him in Mrs. Doubtfire, actually. I thought he was great in that, too.
Yeah.
My mom loved him in Remington Steele. I mean, like, I really, really like Pierce Brosnan. So, I really wanted to give him at least one more shout out here on the list, whether it was an honorable mention or one on the list. But this one was an honorable mention, which it wasn't the best Bond movie, but I thought it was good enough to get onto the honorable mentions. They had Christmas Jones, Denise Richards playing Christmas Jones, the doctor, physicist, whatever.
Not very convincing, but
No.
you know.
That's one of the things that's kind of iconic in a kind of a bad way from this
Yeah.
one. But I enjoyed this one overall. I like Pierce Brosnan, and I just think that seeing more of his James Bond when he's in a good movie is always a good time. So you rewatched this one, right?
I did, and I just said it was fine.
Yeah, you think it's okay?
I mean, it was fine. There's
This
lots
one's
of
for me.
action. And, yeah. I mean, when you get to like that age of Bond, it's obviously super gadget heavy, action heavy, which is fun, but can also be a little bit much sometimes. But
Yeah.
it was still all right.
Yeah, I think it came out in 97, so this is going into the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And, it only got worse from here with the Brosnan Bond movies. So I took this one to heart. I still really like this one. So moving on to number 8. Spectre, this is the latest one. This one gets a lot of, I think, bad flack because it came right after Skyfall. And Skyfall is on a whole nother level of how amazing they did things and changed up the game in a lot of different ways. You got to see a lot of backstory on James Bond that was never, talked about on screen before, really. So I love Spectre, actually. I'm pretty close to loving it if I don't love it. I just rewatched it last night.
I just watched it for the first time last night.
Okay.
It was my last one that I had to watch.
Yeah.
I watched everything in order. So.
Right. It's I think it's third on the Craig, so far.
Oh, yeah.
Craig
Oh,
Yeah.
ones.
I mean,
Absolutely.
well, anything's gonna be better than.
Quantum Sauce?
Quantum Sauce.
Yeah, I don't like Quantum Sauce at all, but that's just me. Yeah, but Spectre is good, man. I think it also kind of the stuff with Christoph Waltz being Blofeld and everything in that movie. I think everyone was expecting more from him, and he kind of underplayed the character a little bit. I mean,
I know some people get mad and say like he fell flat in his performance.
I don't think he
I don't
fell
think
flat.
he fell flat.
it
No.
just was. I was expecting a little more from him. He was
Right.
very calm and cool, like too calm and cool the entire time.
Right, but then again,
Especially compared to, Daniel Craig, who is James Bond to the max
Yeah.
the whole time.
Right.
Like, right from the beginning of, like, the sweet Sue he's got going on. The Dia de los Muertos.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Amazing outfit. I love it. Even the skull mask. He goes to a room with a lady and then he's like, just kidding, gun time. And then,
Wow.
jumping straight onto a helicopter in the middle of the crowd, gonna take it down, kill him and the pilot and everyone. Like, just very, very much James Bond.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, the whole time.
Mm-hmm. But I like this movie a lot because, we get the shift from, Judi Dench died in Skyfall, so we have the male M. I think we all
It's
are watching
2012.
this.
The movie was made in 2012.
Yeah, I hope you guys... It made over $1 billion, so chances are you've seen it if you're watching this video.
Right.
Having M die and then sort of having this last mission for James to go out on was a cool idea. It's sort of a Ghost in the Machine kind of thing that we see. We see a video of her at the beginning of the movie telling him what to do. And this is kind of what all of Craig's movies have been leading to, is Spectre, which is what I talked about it a little bit earlier, was like, I don't know where they're going to go after this, because this was a good ending for Craig as James Bond. So,
and it was supposed to be his ending.
Right, and it all led there. Those four movies were leading to Spectre. I mean, Spectre was behind, and Blofeld was the author of all your pain.
Which I've said to Walter, he's not the author, he's the producer.
Right, he was in the background pulling the strings.
He's in the background, he's funding it, he's telling other people, but he's not the one who breathed water into his lungs. That's
true.
Eva Green did.
Oh my god.
Okay? How dare you?
Right. And I love the opening of this too, because the opening credit sequence. This song's okay. It's not like the best James Bond song.
With the tentacles? You like the tentacles?
It's kind of cool. I mean, I'm not into tentacles, but
well,
the tentacles...
it felt it was on the line.
Right. I mean, but I liked it more.
Say.
The tentacles were kind of weird. I thought it was kind of cool to see them in some points, but more just seeing like the flashbacks. We see, we see Eva Green dying in the opening sequence. We see M. We see.
They put the gulp of water literally in there, and I was like, "Come on!"
I know. From the 3 previous Bond films, we see a bunch of stuff woven in there. We see Silva and all that. So I really liked it. That was, felt like a build-up, a natural progression to this one. And yeah, like I said, it ended on a pretty good note, I think. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but this is a good one. I also like Batista in this. Anything Batista. Mr. Hanks.
I loved, too, specifically his train car fight sequence, especially having watched all these movies in a row, like pretty much back to back.
Yeah.
They have so many callbacks to... specifically from Russia with Love, where he goes up and he grabs the bars and kicks him. In From Russia with Love, he pulls out the wire from his garrote and tries to strangle James Bond, but they switch it around this time. James Bond strangles him. Yeah. Or even the pushing him off the kegs one by one. Yeah. It's just a really solid fight sequence, and I loved all the little throwbacks from it. It was really cool to watch.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spectre. So Spectre, I think we all agree, was an honorable mention. This wasn't just a me thing.
Oh no, that's great. It's a great.
It wasn't just me.
The world is not enough. I know is all me. But but Spectre, I think we all agree.
Opinions, Walden.
Right. I think especially now watching it, I didn't watch Skyfall before it, so it's like on its own, it is really good. Okay. So I think. Give it another chance. I know a lot of people were down on it just because of Skyfall. Don't watch Skyfall for a couple months or something, and then go watch Spectre. And I think you'll find that it's better than you remember. So,
I watched it back to back and still
really liked it.
Really liked it.
Okay, well, there you go. I think it's a good movie, man. I think it gets a bad rap, but
not
it's good.
Quite there, but
it's not on Skyfall level, but it is. It is
good ideas.
It's
right.
pretty. It's some good ideas. Pretty in some parts.
Yeah, definitely. It has its moments for sure. So moving on.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Oh yeah, okay, we talking about personal choices. This is definitely one of my personal choices, and I am okay with that. This movie is great. It's not your typical Bond film, and that's kind of what I really, really enjoyed about it as well, is it really feels all mod, and they've taken some fight sequences and made it very much stylized, and even a lot of the dialogue is a little different. And it goes a little off the path of the very formulaic movies these kind of become after a while.
Right.
Yeah.
I will tell you the formula. I've seen so many. But seriously, that was what was so refreshing about this one, was it went really different. James Bond goes undercover as not James Bond, which was a big deal. He goes to this Alpine spa health center place, and there are these, of course, tons of women there who are being treated for different allergies and psychosomatic things, I guess, but really they're all being brainwashed. And they even have some makeup kits that are all gadgets and stuff, like radios and stuff, and I like that there's all these badass gorgeous ladies with these spy kids, but they're brainwashed and don't know about it. It's really cool. There's a really funny scene where, this is Lazenby, by the way, George Lazenby. This is his only Bond movie.
There's a lot of politics behind that decision and stuff too. So, but this one sticks out because it's in the middle of like the Connery Bonds.
Yeah.
And then Connery came back for Diamonds Are Forever after this. So
yeah.
Weird, right?
It's super weird. But I really liked that it was such a different turn. I like that he also wears a kilt in this one, not Connery.
Right.
Darn. Which is pretty funny. But even towards the beginning, when he just breaks that fourth wall and immediately is like, this never happened to that other fellow, it like immediately sets the tone for the rest of the movie, being like, this isn't what you've been watching. Like, come for this other story with us. And I really, it was super interesting in so many ways.
Probably super refreshing after having watched so many.
Four Connery Bonds before this. What did you think of Lazenby as Bond, especially like?
I liked him. He was funny. He had a lot of double entendres in this and a lot of puns, and they were like different in a way that like wasn't making fun of it. You know, where we get to a point in these Bond films later when they're like, Christmas only comes once a year, you know, and it gets to the point where it's like, we get it, you're making a dirty joke. And these are still fun at this point of the movies, if that makes sense. You're not commenting on the double entendre. You're sort of just putting it out there.
Right.
Which, it's a fine line, for sure, and they don't all do that, but there gets to be a point when you're like, okay, yep, someone with a funny name, I get it. Tracy in this is the best. Moneypenny is my favorite of all time, and I love her so much. She's the best in this movie. In Dr. No, you're like, oh my god, y'all. But, oh my gosh, she's the best in this one. I think Moneypenny is my favorite. She even, like, kisses James Bond, and I'm like, yes, get it. But Tracy,
go Moneypenny.
Tracy is, I would say, my second favorite Bond girl behind Vesper. So Tracy is amazing and different, and she challenges him, and I just, I'm such a fan of her. She's great. And the end, spoilers. Oh yeah, she dies.
Very Vesper-like.
Oh my gosh.
But he actually marries her in this.
But he marries her in this, and then he's like, we have all the time in the world, and then she dies, and he kisses her ring and says, like, we have all the time in the world, and then just ends the movie right there, and it's heartbreaking.
Devastating.
It's devastating.
Right. It would have been interesting to see if he would have kept going, because they did offer him, but he turned it down because of advice from his agent or something like that. But the story behind Lazenby actually getting the role of James Bond is nuts. I don't know if you've ever seen like interviews with him.
No.
But like he was not an actor. I think he modeled a couple of times or something. But how he faked everybody out. Like he convinced everyone that he was an actor, and he got the role. It's crazy. You should go back and watch some interviews.
Look, when you're right for the role, you're right for the role. That's all I'm saying.
He's good. He's very tall too.
He's very tall. He's very different, and I understand it. Yeah, he's not like him. It wasn't as much controversy as Daniel Craig, who was a blonde
Bond. That was such a big deal. God. Entertainment Tonight. There's a blonde Bond. I remember seeing that. Like, oh, is that a big deal?
Don't worry, he's still a straight white man.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one, like Her Majesty's Secret Service is one that I think a lot of people have rediscovered over the past few years and have really like find a new appreciation for. So it's interesting that you like it so much. You wanted it in the top 5.
I did. That's my number 5. Right. My personal number 5. It's up there. I mean, the more I think about it too, just Tracy's the freaking best, y'all. Yeah. I love her so much. I literally have my note sitting over here and it just says Tracy.
Tracy. Okay, well, moving on to our final one, number 6.
All right, our number 6 is also one that Walter and I wanted it in our personal top 5. But like that's one of the interesting things about doing it with the 3 of us is like we all have different opinions. So like Walter and I had this on our list, but it wasn't Ayana's. We had to like compromise. So Dr. No, the first movie of the franchise.
Yeah.
Which, you know, there's something to be said about the one that kicks it all off. But even standing alone from that fact, it's a solid movie.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I liked a lot about it is that it is just a movie about a spy. It's a spy story.
Right.
He barely has any, come to think of it, I don't think he really uses like any gadgets. He only uses like his brains and like interesting ways to use the environment. Like he uses his rubber shoes to get rubber-soled shoes to get through an electrocuted fence or something like that. Like real objects around him, like a real spy would do. Not that James Bond isn't a real spy, but you know, it becomes this bigger and bigger character who's heavier and heavier reliance on the gadgets, and Dr. No is just it's a spy story.
Right.
He is a solid spy.
Yeah, the tropes aren't set up yet and anything, so it's like nothing's overdone at this point. A lot of things are introduced for the first time, or just aren't there yet, you know. And Connery as
we're using Bonnery for sure.
Bonnery.
Yeah, Connery as Bond. His first performance is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, like just seeing him say James Bond. He's so nonchalant about it. He's playing poker or something, playing cards when we first see him. And we don't see him. I love how they first introduce him because we don't see him at first. We see like his hands, we hear his voice, and then there's the big reveal of Bond, James Bond.
Right, and I know fans of the books like loved that.
Yeah.
So yeah, fans of the books like it a lot.
Connery's a great Bond, man. I mean,
he's my favorite.
I think he's still my favorite.
He's my favorite Bond.
And a lot of it because of Dr. No, I think. I mean, as you know, he went on, like, certain movies were great, certain movies weren't. But we'll always have, like, this first one especially, and Goldfinger, you know, and a lot of people like Thunderball, and From Russia with Love, obviously, made number 5 on our list. So there's a reason why people love Sean Connery as James Bond. Why a lot of people still consider him the only Bond.
Right.
And if you go back and see him, I mean, like, even when the movies aren't amazing, like his performance at least is always like seems effortless, you know.
Yeah, comes to work.
Yeah, and then Dr. No established a lot of those things, and he was just perfect. He's perfect for it.
There's some problematic stuff in it.
Yes,
I mean,
there is.
Made in 1962, so there's stuff that you know is not appropriate nowadays for sure.
Right.
But for the time, a lot of people I'm sure didn't like bat an eye at back then, and that's just how it was, whatever. But but yeah, if you go back now, I mean, yeah, there's some things that are like, ooh.
Right, but you just
about this or that.
Like,
but
I feel like a lot of the early Bonds, you have to look at it through a historical lens more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, not that like Yellowface is ever okay, but they just didn't know.
Right. And that's worse in another movie that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But
I think that's why really just barely From Russia, like barely edged it out. Is there's not that much different, but From Russia with Love barely had that upper hand on it, where like even for an older movie there was like a surprising amount of consent in that movie.
Yeah.
Whereas we still don't have that quite yet.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think this one was respected right away. I think From Russia with Love got more and more popular as the years went on. That's kind of like the sleeper best one that a lot of people really love. Like really Bond purists, I think they think that From Russia with Love is the best one. So you're on that train.
I'm inclined to agree with the train.
She's on that literal. I was gonna say that literal train.
On that
literal
train.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, I watched all the Bond movies like a long time ago, like several years ago, and I kept notes about them, like not really notes, but like I rated them. From Russia with Love, I had really low for some reason. I don't know why.
It's okay.
I mean, maybe just my taste back then, but I did rewatch Diamonds Are Forever because I wanted that to be an honorable mention. That was my favorite Connery Bond, and then I was like, oh, this isn't good.
It wasn't.
This
I'm
isn't
sorry,
very good
Walter.
at all.
I watched it because you had it on
Scottish
your
in it.
list, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it wasn't. I rewatched it, so I took it off the list there. But yeah, that's the countdown continued for this week. Thank you guys for watching. Next week, we're going to be doing the top 5 worst James Bond movies, so I didn't want to spoil too much here.
Right.
But there are some that I think we all agree are just pretty bad.
Or maybe we don't agree.
Or maybe we don't agree. But that's still what's interesting about the top 5.
On Her Majesty's was on the potential worst list, and that's fine.
Was it? Did I say that?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You should be.
There's a lot of...
Wow.
I mean, like I said, my tastes have definitely changed in some things, but you know, things change as you get older.
And I'm sure some people don't like it. It's so different.
Right.
It's a very different one.
It is, for sure. But we'll be back with the worst ones, collectively, what we think next week on Top 5 over at Channel Awesome. So go ahead and check that out. And I will catch you guys right back here on the channel very soon with another video, and I'll talk to you later.